themselves.
It's just at the end, it's just doing an announcement. It's just an announcement. I'm not doing it now. You're doing an announcement at the end.
Nigel Rolland, Tameside Green Party. Following on from what a lot of speakers have said today about building the resistance, I'd like to invite you to our Resistance to Austerity Fringe meeting this evening, where we will be talking about the belts and braces, the practicalities of how we actually resist this austerity, resist the welfare reforms, the cuts. We'll have speakers from Unite the Union and local anti-cuts campaigns. It's in the Eslem room at 6:15 to 7:30.
Thank you very much. Did everyone say it once more? Time and the title.
Okay, this is the Resistance to Austerity Fringe, and it will be at 6:15 to 7:30. We will have speakers from Unite the Union, from South Liverpool Against Poverty and other local anti-cuts campaigns. We'll be talking about the practicalities of actually building the resistance to austerity. Please join us.
Where?
The Eslem room. It's the Eslem room? Sorry? Elsem room. My apologies, Elsem room.
This growth thing seems to me that we've got to focus on. What we don't want is corporate growth. We do want local jobs, diverse growth. It's a healthy kind of growth we're looking for. A growth in a different kind of values and jobs for people at a local level, not just money making for corporations. And it seems to me that's the way to focus this sort of growth problem.
The word I try and use when I'm talking to the trade unions is development rather than growth, because it's not necessarily means an increase of stuff, productivism and stuff like that. But anyway, however much Nathan McCluskey might say hello, Remain, give me a hug, he ignores me on that point, and growth stays in. Right, coming back to we've got 1, 2, 3 more. Unless there's another woman who wants to come in.
My name is David Hooks. I'm not a member of the Green Party, I'm a member of the Labour Party, and I'm also a member of Scientists for Global Responsibility. But one of the problems of the anti-growth strategy is that like half the world is living on a couple of dollars a day. They have a right to have a better standard of living. That means economic growth. It has to be done sustainably. So to be anti-growth means abandoning half the planet to subsistence economy. That's certainly. So when you grow, you have to grow in a sustainable way. You have to talk about that, how it would be done. The other issue, which seems to me that we're not addressing, is the urgency of making, to do with the climate, the fact that within 2 or 3 decades, if we don't reduce the amount of carbon, there will be runaway global warming, and it will be impossible to stop. And that's a serious possibility. Most scientists in the climate sphere expertise consider that to be quite likely. So something has to be done rather quickly. Now the problem is, how do you get your hand? A lot of the technology required to stop climate change is in the hands of large corporations. Now, so you have to have a political strategy that will expropriate that technology or and ramp it up and close down the carbon-based technologies. That's going to require large-scale actions of governments, obviously green-influenced governments, but they will have to take on these massive corporations, just as the government in 1939 took on, changed and restructured the car factories, and within 6 months they were mass-producing Spitfires and bombers and all that sort of thing for war. But the same thing can be done for the war on climate change, but it won't be done by lots of cosy little groups of cooperatives on a local basis. You have to do it on a different scale in order to stop runaway climate change.
Which is part of Green Party policy. We understand the urgency of that, and we need the smaller things going on and big things too. Now, I think we've got a couple more speakers. Right, we'll make it 3. Shall I do 1, 2, 3?
Mine's got the added bonus of a question. I think the reason we're socialists and not the Labour Party is that, if I've understood the tone of what a lot of people are saying, is that the reason we don't need growth, even local growth, the idea of growth being a bad idea rather than development, is that there's plenty of wealth in the world and there's plenty of resources in the world. We're just crap at distributing them properly, and that's the difference. That's the answer to the international development thing. It's about quality of life rather than quantity of stuff, production and consumption. So if we're not that kind of traditional socialism, my question I'll finish with will be for Laura, which is, you used the term market socialism a couple of times without explaining it, and I'm not sure what you meant. Because a colleague, I think Howard, you mentioned that that the private sector can work. Nobody wants the Ministry of Food running the local chip shop. There's room for local enterprise, family business or whatever. And for me, that's small capitalism, and it's big capitalism. It's a problem. So unless I've misunderstood something, maybe that needs a bit of clarifying. And I think it's true things ain't changing quick enough because people don't see the urgency. When we see a bit of a drip in the ceiling, it takes a while until the water's coming through before we repair the roof. We tend to be a bit crap like that, don't we? Eventually, people are going to get desperate enough that they'll want to take seriously civil disobedience on a bigger scale, seriously challenging the authorities. And maybe we need a bit of, if we can maintain a bit of voice of sanity as the Greens, people will have, a ready-made alternative to work to. So I'm wondering how that fits in with market socialism. Can you explain that for me?
Okay, well, we may be running out of time for an answer. We might ask Laura to write us something which we'll put up on the Greenland Facebook page if we don't get around to it. We've just got about 3 minutes then. You've got an announcement.
I'll do the announcement.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I think maybe we should go back to a good place to start was with Remain and quoting Rose Luxemburg, socialism or barbarism. So I've got 2 minutes I'm going to get from Rose Luxemburg to Natalie Bennett, and then allow myself a minute at the end for a plug. As has been said, capitalism has been enormously powerful the last 30 years, destruction of public services, destruction of the trade unions. But actually, although they're very powerful, capitalists are deeply worried because they don't have any answers. There was a couple of things that I heard this week. One was, there's no books coming out this time about the stock market bubble being forever. Nobody believes it. They just hope to go round the block one more time and screw a bit more out of it, and maybe filter a bit more away to tax havens for their kids. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, the capitalists don't really talk about climate change because they know that there isn't a capitalist answer to it. To sort out the ecological problems requires state intervention, large-scale state intervention. That's the long and short of it. And we know that that's the case, and that's something that they cannot abide. Basically, capitalism can never be for the common good. And I also heard Natalie on the radio this morning talking about the absolutely inextricable link between fighting for social justice and fighting for ecological survival. And John Humphreys kept trying to get her back onto, but you're just a Green Party, you just talk about the one issue. She wasn't having it, and she did a very good job. And actually, I don't know whether she actually used the term. I think she actually used the term two sides of the same coin. Now, that's actually a slogan that was first used in my hearing by Remain, the Green left candidate in the Green Party election. And so basically, our ideas are becoming mainstream in the Green Party. The Green Party is increasingly an eco-socialist party. They may not like to say the word, but actually, I look forward to the day when the press office gives out a press release that says, an instruction to Green Party members and says, yes, don't be ashamed to mention the S word. I look forward to that. Let me just say something about Green Left. Green Left is a small, organised group of people within the Green Party. We're essentially a discussion group. We promote eco-socialist ideas. We try and get together at conference to see that the eco-socialist ideas are become party policy. We've had some success in that. And actually, and I want to refer to what the comrade was talking about, the corruption of power and the problem of democracy, because it's a very, very real one, and all political power corrupts. And actually, we need something like Green Left and the Green Party to actually counter that. I was slightly worried today. I came in for the leader's speech, and the front row was full of all the worthy people from the Green Party, and somebody said there were actually signs on the chairs who were sitting where. Now that's actually quite worrying, and the kind of reason why we need a Green Left. So come and check us out. We've got a stall in the main hall, and maybe, we're not frightening people. We're democratic people. We want to hold the Green Party leadership to account. We want to spread eco-socialist ideas. The Green Party's time has come, and Green Left is going to make sure that when it comes, it will be a democratic and accountable alternative.
Well, that's fantastic. We've got one announcement, but can I say this has been a really lovely start to conference for me. Listening to all the ideas and questions. Thank you so much to Laura Bannister. Let's hope that if she gets arrested again, she's not going to be physically abused. It's something we've got to be concerned about, and we're fighting Water Canada in London. Thank you very much to my deputy, Councillor Will Duckworth. Howard, you've got an announcement?
I just wanted to say, picking up on what you said, I definitely don't think running a chip shop is owning the means of production, which is part of the point I was trying to make. We've talked about the alternatives to electoralism, haven't we, in this meeting? Well, one of the things that we really need to do is to make the Green Party into a more effective campaigning party. I'm the National Campaigns Coordinator of the Green Party. I've arranged a workshop here in this room at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So if you're interested in campaigning, if you want to be part of the campaigns network, which we're building in the Green Party, then please come to that workshop tomorrow. It'd be really good to see you. 9 o'clock in this room.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Maybe see you later.